Welcome back to the deep dive. You've brought us a really fascinating, maybe slightly unsettling collection of sources this week. Just a stack of genuine mysteries that really stretch the imagination, don't they? They kind of blur the lines between what we think is possible and, well, the unbelievable.
They certainly do. And our mission today really is to dive into three pretty distinct narratives. Each one has its own, layer of intrigue and just baffling unanswered questions.
Right.
We'll sift through the reports, the theories, the facts we do have, and see what unsettling insights we can maybe glean from these perplexing events.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And we're starting with a mystery that literally takes to the skies above LA. I mean, one of America's busiest cities.
Yeah.
Just imagine you're a pilot, cruising thousands of feet up, and you see, well, something impossible. August 30th, 2020. American Airlines flight 1997. They radioed LAX control tower.
And the transmission was pretty specific, wasn't it?
It really was. The pilot said, I'm quoting here, "Tower, this is American 1997. We just passed a lone man flying off our left side, maybe 300 yards or so about our altitude. A lone man flying."
Wow. And what's striking is how quickly it was backed up, right? Just minutes later, another pilot, this time from Sky West, chimed in.
Confirming it
And adding that detail. I think he's wearing a jetpack.
Yeah.
So you've got two separate experienced pilots high above LA seeing the same, frankly, impossible thing.
Exactly. So naturally, everyone scrambled for an explanation. And for a little while, it looked like they had a pretty mundane one.
Right, the balloon theory.
Yeah, a few months pass, and an LAPD helicopter spots this big Jack Skellington balloon floating over Beverly Hills. Like the character.
From Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right, a runaway from a Halloween party. And the thinking was, look, commercial jets move fast, a quick glance. Maybe it just looked like a person. So for a bit, that was the accepted story. The Jetpack man was just a balloon.
Which made a certain amount of sense, trying to rationalize it.
Yeah.
But then, well, that theory kind of fell apart.
It did. Because on October 14th, a China Airlines pilot, Flight 006, radioed in. And he was firm. He reported seeing a flight suit jetpack at about 6,000 feet.
6,000. Much higher.
Much higher. And he specifically said, he was experienced enough. He knew it wasn't a balloon. He saw a person in a jetpack.
So that really throws a wrench in the works. Was the balloon just a coincidence? Or are there multiple things up there? It just deepens the mystery.
And then it kept getting deeper. December 21st, this video surfaces. Many thought this was it. The smoking gun.
The Sling Pilot Academy footage.
Exactly. A flying instructor recorded video near Palos Verdes and Catalina Island, around 3,000 feet up. They posted it on Instagram. And it really looks like a person in a jetpack.
Although, to be fair, the caption did add a little disclaimer, right?
Oh.
Saying it could also be a drone or some other object.
True. But visually, for a lot of people watching that footage, is like, okay, there he is. The LA Iron Man is real.
And by the next summer, July 2021, it seems like this Jetpack man wasn't just a one-off sighting anymore. It was almost becoming like a known hazard.
Yeah, almost normalized, which is wild. A Boeing 747 pilot calls in a possible Jetpack man sighting, and the control tower actually broadcasts a caution warning.
To all aircraft.
To all aircraft. Use caution for the jetpack. He's just north of the final, around 5,000 feet, and pilots were even joking about it. One response over the radio was, "We did not see Iron Man. I repeat, did not see Iron Man."
Which suggests, a certain level of, maybe not acceptance, but like resignation. Like, oh yeah, the jetpack guy might be out there again.
It's incredible. And we should probably mention the technology itself. It's not pure science fiction. Jetpacks do exist in some form.
Right, there are prototypes, like Yves Rossi, the former Swiss pilot, but his needs a helicopter to get airborne.
Yeah, not quite practical for sneaking around LAX.
No. And then there's Jetpack Aviation, based in California. They've actually built, I think, 5 backpack-style jetpacks. So the tech is being developed.
But could their tech do this? That's the million-dollar question.
And that's where the skepticism really kicks in, especially for people who actually build these things. David Maimon, the CEO of Jetpack Aviation, he was pretty blunt.
Oh, did he say?
Well, first, their jetpacks aren't for sale to the public. But more importantly, the physics. He said while they could technically reach maybe 15,000 feet, the fuel just wouldn't last. Safely, they can only fly for maybe 10 minutes, max altitude around 1,000, maybe 1,500 feet. To get up to 6,000 feet, be seen, get down, you'd run out of fuel midair.
Okay, that's a pretty major limitation.
Yeah. His conclusion was basically, honestly, it's more likely an electric drone, perhaps one with a mannequin attached. He just doesn't see current jetpack tech doing what was reported.
But not everyone in the aviation world agrees with that level of skepticism. Thomas Anthony, he's the director of USC's Aviation Safety and Security Program. He's, quote, considerably less skeptical.
Okay, so he thinks it's more plausible.
He does. He basically says, we know for a fact that these things exist. He thinks someone, somewhere, has one. And he suggests looking in, like, secluded industrial areas, maybe around burn-in, for signs of takeoff or landing.
Interesting. But his main focus, and this is critical, isn't just, wow, this is real. It's about the danger.
Right. The safety aspect.
Exactly. He points out that while airliners can handle, say, a bird strike, a big metal object like a jetpack getting sucked into an engine, that could be, his word, catastrophic.
An engine explosion at altitude.
It could bring a plane down. He said hundreds of people could die, which immediately makes you think, who on earth would take that risk? Not just for themselves, but for everyone on those planes.
It's terrifying. And, Los Angeles, it has its share of, let's say, eccentric millionaires, thrill seekers.
Airline junkies, yeah.
Could someone with the money and the nerve be experimenting with some cutting-edge tech? Maybe irresponsibly. It's hard to rule out entirely.
No, it isn't. But if it is a person, they're playing a deadly game. This whole mystery isn't just weird, it's a potential disaster waiting to happen. It really highlights the clash between new, maybe unregulated tech and, established air safety.
Definitely makes you think about securing our airspace in the future. Okay, so from the skies above LA, let's shift gears completely. We're going now to a quiet farming community in Vietnam, a totally different kind of mystery, and frankly, a much more horrifying one.
Yeah, this is a deeply disturbing story. It comes from Tay Binh, a rural province. The year's 2002, and it concerns the Tram family. They were rice farmers, living a life described as being in great peace, which is actually what Tay Binh translates to.
But that peace was shattered.
Utterly shattered. The horror apparently started when one of the younger brothers began building a new family home, right next to their existing one.
Okay, construction starts.
Then what?
Within days, their cattle got sick, mysteriously ill. Then, soon after, the other livestock, pigs, ducks, chickens, they just went, quote, absolutely berserk.
Berserko.
Fighting each other, running headfirst into walls, just frantic, terrified behavior. Some people mentioned foaming at the mouth, which made them think rabies initially.
But it wasn't rabies.
No, the speed of spread ruled that out. Most of their livestock just died within hours. It wiped out nearly everything they owned, a total disaster for them financially.
Oh my God. And then it didn't stop with the animals, did it?
No. Tragically, it spread to the family. Tran Van Viet, the eldest son, apparently a healthy young man, he started having these strange pains.
Just aches and pains.
Yeah, but they wouldn't go away. He ended up in the hospital, but doctors were baffled. And then he started showing the same symptoms as the animals. Foaming at the mouth, violent seizures.
And he
died mid-2002.
That's awful.
And the pattern just continued. The father, Tran Van Rang, was devastated, started drinking heavily, but his health collapsed too. Barely a month after his son, he also died from violent seizures.
This is relentless.
It gets worse. 3 months later, they're holding a memorial at the cemetery. Tran Van Nut's young son, another family member, he just collapses right there at the graveside.
Oh no.
Same symptoms. Heavy convulsions, turned purple, foaming at the mouth. Died within minutes. And it kept going. In the following days, the mother, Nguyen Thai Dao, died. Then Tran Van Nut himself. Same horrific symptoms.
There's anyone left?
There was one survivor who managed to get out of Tay Binh, Tran Van Nut's wife, and chillingly, she reported that her own symptoms, which had started, actually disappeared after she left the village.
Whoa. Okay, so leaving the area stopped it for her.
Seems like it. By this point, as you can imagine, this string of unexplained horrific deaths had gripped the entire country. Fear, speculation.
I bet. What was the official response?
Massive. Hundreds of people, doctors, police, scientists, they descended on this farm. They spent 4 solid weeks there.
Taking samples.
Everything.
Yeah.
Water, air, soil, food. They even did autopsies on local wildlife, trying to find a cause. And interestingly, the surviving family members, like Quoc Viet, they felt like they were suspects. They were reported being followed by plainclothes police.
And did the deaths stop then?
Not yet. The elderly matriarch of the family, Pharm Thai Harm Van Rang, she also died later, same symptoms. And adding another layer of terror, nurses who were caring for her in the hospital started complaining of aches and pains themselves. One even fainted on duty.
So it seems like it could spread, potentially.
That was certainly the fear. Now, eventually, the authorities released an official explanation.
Which was?
Pesticide poisoning.
Okay. But did they find any?
That's the huge problem. They explicitly stated there was no trace of any deadly pesticides in the victims' bodies or anywhere on the land. And they never even named which pesticide it supposedly was.
So, no evidence, no specific agent named, just pesticides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which led, understandably, to widespread disbelief in Vietnam. People call the official report absolute godswallow. Basically, nonsense, a lie. The feeling was strong that it was a government cover-up.
A cover-up of what, though? That's the question.
Well, that's where the theories started. You had some really wild ones involving, like, evil snake spirits and local curses.
Right, the supernatural angle.
But then you had more grounded and maybe even scarier theories. Like the idea that the Tram family were accidental victims, essentially, guinea pigs in some kind of top-secret chemical weapons test.
Chemical weapons?
Yeah, people pointed out the symptoms seemed similar to some Cold War-era nerve agents. Seizures, foaming at the mouth.
Wow. Okay, that's dark. Is there a more scientific possibility?
There is, and it ties back to that construction project. Mercury poisoning.
Mercury? How?
Remember, they were building a new house, digging foundations, probably laying water pipes. Vietnam has natural mercury deposits. It's entirely possible that the digging disturbed a deposit and contaminated their water supply.
And the symptoms match.
Almost perfectly. Mercury poisoning can cause abdominal pain, headaches, irritability, tingling, memory loss, anemia, and in severe cases, seizures, coma, and death. It lines up, as the source says, almost to the letter.
Okay, that sounds very plausible. What about the nurses getting sick?
Mercury can explain that too. In high enough concentrations, mercury vapor can contaminate the air. So being in close proximity to someone severely poisoned, especially if they were, say, excreting it, could potentially expose others.
So if it was mercury, why the cover-up? Why not just say that?
Well, that leads to speculation about why the mercury might have been there in the first place, perhaps in a concentrated, dangerous form. Was it natural? Or was it related to past industrial activity?
Like what?
Gold mining and coal burning both release mercury. Maybe there was negligence years ago by some official overseeing a project. Maybe they cut corners on cleanup, buried contaminated waste to save time or money, get a promotion, and the Tram family accidentally dug it up.
And admitting that would mean admitting prior negligence, potentially by someone still in power.
Exactly. Easier, perhaps, to just call it pesticide poisoning with no details and hope it goes away.
Is there any actual evidence supporting the mercury theory?
Yes, actually. A scientific paper from January 2020, published by the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology, it found that the concentration of mercury in the coastal sediment in Tay Binh province is 5 times higher than in other areas.
5 times? Wow.
Yeah. They link it partly to the misuse of mercurial fungicides in agriculture, but they also called for more studies on its effect on the food chain. It had significant weight to the mercury hypothesis.
So a possible environmental disaster, maybe covered up, leading to this horrific family tragedy, it really makes you wonder if the full truth will ever surface.
It does. It's a chilling reminder of how unexplained illnesses can sometimes intersect with institutional secrecy with devastating results.
Absolutely sobering. All right, let's shift gears one last time. From medical horror to, well, a military enigma. This is strange on a whole different level.
It really is. We're going to Augsburg, West Germany, July 9th, 1990. 6 U.S. Army intelligence analysts. These aren't regular soldiers. These are people with top-secret clearances.
Okay, highly sensitive personnel.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And they just walked off their base, disappeared, vanished.
In 1990, so this is right at the tail end of the Cold War.
Exactly. The Soviet Union is crumbling, but tensions are still incredibly high. The immediate fear in U.S. high command was, had a rogue KGB snatch squad grab them. These guys knew sensitive stuff.
So a massive search must have kicked off.
Huge. The source says the full weight of the German-based American military was looking for them, but nothing. Barely a trace. It was like they had evaporated.
Okay, so they're gone. For how long?
5 days. Then the story takes maybe the weirdest turn yet. A highway patrol officer pulls over a car.
Back in Germany?
Nope. Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Florida. How did they get there?
That's part of the mystery. Gulf Breeze, which incidentally was already kind of famous for alleged UFO sightings back then. Anyway, the officer pulls over this car for a broken taillight. And inside...
The 6 missing soldiers?
All 6 of them. Vance Davis, Michael Wested, Chris Perlock, William Sederberg, Kenneth Beeson, and Annette Eccleston. Somehow they'd gotten from a high-security base in Germany to Florida while being the subject of an international military manhunt.
That's insane. So espionage must have been the immediate thought, right? Treason.
Absolutely. The source mentions the death penalty on the table, huge security breach, potential defection. But the Army investigated, and apparently they determined no espionage had occurred.
No espionage. What was the punishment?
Pretty light, considering they were all reduced to the lowest rank, they lost a month's pay, and then they were honorably discharged just 2 weeks later. The official charges were just going AWOL and forging leave papers.
Honorable discharge. After disappearing from a sensitive post in Germany and turning up in Florida. That seems lenient.
It does. Which suggests their reason, whatever it was, wasn't seen as malicious or treasonous by the military.
So what was their reason? Why did they do it?
Okay, buckle up. This is where it goes completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Vance Davis, acting as the group's spokesperson, gave their explanation. He claimed that spirits told them they were needed to help lead the world through an impending cataclysm.
Spirits.
Spirits.
How did they contact these spirits?
Get this. A Ouija board.
A Ouija board. These are intelligence analysts with top secret clearance.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Davis said, we tried the Ouija board. Someone showed up, and I'm talking spiritually. He even claimed that these spirits, through the board, had accurately predicted the first Gulf War and a major earthquake in 1990.
So they believed the board was giving them credible intel.
It seems they were utterly convinced. That's why they listened when the spirits gave them their next instruction. Which is, Davis said that around the end of May 1990, the spirits told them they should think about getting out of the Army. Because, quote, there's going to be some serious things occurring in the next 5 years, and being in the service wouldn't help us grow and become what we were supposed to become.
Grow and become. Okay. Did the spirits elaborate?
Apparently not much. When they asked for more detail, the board just spelled out, leave.
Just leave, and they did.
They took it as a design command. They saw themselves as having a new mission. Davis explained they were meant to be teachers preparing people for the coming world chaos.
Preparing for chaos. What kind of chaos?
He got pretty specific. He said, this will be the changing of the earth, and Jesus is involved, and the rapture is real. They predicted massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, a huge gas leak devastating New York City, riots in every major U.S. city. Basically, the apocalypse.
And their role was?
To survive it, apparently, and then come back out again to help put the pieces back together afterwards.
Wow. Just wow. But the most baffling part isn't just the story itself, it's who believed it.
Exactly. These were, random drifters. These were 6 otherwise intelligent men who were all entrusted with top-level government secrets. They met doing their jobs.
Highly vetted individuals.
Right. And it wasn't one person having a breakdown. All 6 of them bought into this collectively. Enough to risk their careers, freedom, everything, to go AWOL based on messages from a Ouija board.
The power of shared belief, I guess, or shared delusion. It's hard to know.
It really is. And it makes you pause. The source notes, as we trudge into the 3rd decade of the millennia, things do seem to be getting more and more chaotic out there, geopolitically speaking.
Things certainly feel unstable.
Yeah. While Davis's specific predictions didn't exactly pan out, the general feeling of impending chaos maybe resonates a bit differently now than it did in 1990. It's just fascinating how a shared extraordinary belief could drive such seemingly rational people to such extreme actions.
It really is. What a strange case. So we've covered quite a range today. A potential jetpack pilot buzzing LAX, a horrific mystery illness in Vietnam, and Ouija board following soldiers.
Yeah, quite the spectrum of the unexplained. And these deep dives, they really hammer home how much we don't know, even now. With all our science and tech, mysteries persist. They challenge our assumptions about reality, about possibility, about what drives people.
Keeps us asking questions, right?
Definitely. It reminds us to look beyond the easy answers, maybe question the official narrative sometimes.
So a final thought for you listening. In this age of nonstop information, how do you sort it out? How do you find the truth when the facts themselves seem impossible, or when the official story feels incomplete? What other hidden truths might be out there? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into some truly baffling cases. If you found these stories as thought-provoking as we did, do us a favor, like this episode, share it with anyone else who loves a good mystery, and definitely subscribe to our channel, Docx. We dig into strange and unsettling stories like these all the time. We'll see you next time.